Hello everyone and welcome to the Full Market Analysis Volume 21. So we're looking at all of our pairs today. We're going to discuss all of our predictions, our views, and also give you some targets as well if we can do so. Just to give you a bit of clarity of what we're looking in for the next trading week. We do have a trading group as well that you can follow. That link is in the description below. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, feel free to do so. And without further ado, guys, we'll get straight into the video. So we're starting off with gold. So we've had a look at this pair before, and I made a previous update about this, and we actually never found that retest. So just to quickly backtrack what I was saying before, I was looking at this level of the market and I was waiting for the retest. Now you could argue that we are potentially coming into this level for the retest. Now we could get a spike into this zone before we get pushed towards the upside, or we could just continue to push higher. So for now, I'm pretty much sticking out out of this in terms of selling opportunities. However, I am still waiting for this to come into fruition, and for me it needs to do multiple things. We need to first start to see a lot of bearish structures together, and it needs to be heavy impacted, and then I can start drawing some trend lines in and further bring in some evidence. So until then, I'm not going to talk about any selling opportunities, but for now time being, I will discuss any buying opportunities. So again, we are looking at this retest potential level here. Now obviously we need to see a form of rejection before we find that push. Now the second thing that we could look for is if price is able to continue and push high and break above the current high that we've made, get that retest in here before we get another push higher, and pretty much repeat this process upwards until we start to see weakness. If we give a check on the RSI indicator, now this is where the selling opportunities could arise maybe this week. So I'm just giving that as a precaution for those who are looking to hold on to the buys for so long. I'm not really too sure how much this can extend any further higher. We are looking at some divergence. So again, this is just a loss of momentum towards the upside. And if you check the peaks and the RSI to the actual chart action, they are very different and they are converging at two different angles. Okay, so this is what the divergence means: loss of momentum and loss of potential volume. So now what do we do? So we just have to wait for the market, let it play out. Look at these two levels in the market just for buying opportunities. If we do find some rejections at these levels, and then we're good to go. So that's all my bias is towards gold. If we look more now towards some other pairs, and we can look into a bit more detail. So looking at New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So I had this analysis prepared from last week. Now it's only taken, well, it's basically taken a whole week really for us to see some development in this process. Now we're looking at an opportunity to take a sell. There was no real clear opportunity for me. I was looking at this top level here, within this range. On the top hand side, I found that retest, found a massive sell-off. So all we're doing right now is looking for a potential retest here, as the analysis has previously shown, and we're going to look and try and target into this zone here, so just at 0.64. So if we manage to take a sell, if we do manage to take a sell, sorry, it would be around 200 pips. So we do have that. Now again, it's pretty much looking this, seeing if this can continue it further, because we're looking at some good selling pressure into the market. So what we could be looking at is a potential pullback before we get another push to the downside, or we could push further. I'm obviously going to be waiting for the pullback, as you do know, and we'll see if this can continue to push lower next week. So looking at AUD USD, same situation here. This is the same analysis from last week. We're starting to see a bit of this come into action. Tried to get a selling opportunity, but this was more towards the Asian session, so we don't trade that. Obviously I'm sleeping during those hours, so I have to make the most of the next candles, and we're looking at a nice pressure to the downside. So I'm keen to see how price reacts to this uptrend that we have drawn here. If we can get that strong momentum shift to the downside, I'll wait for a pullback into a level, and then we could watch this drop, and I'll be targeting just around 0.678. So from price action to the level, so around 370 pips. So we do have some good potential here. If we quickly check the RSI again, if we are still losing momentum, so very slightly, we are still technically in a divergence from previous peaks. But yeah, let's just see how much of a sell-off this can push into the downside. So I'm not looking to take any sells just for aggressively. It's only until we get this clean structure break to the downside, just to confirm that we are pushing lower. That's when I'll start to look into some selling opportunities. Okay, so this potentially could find support, and we could have one push higher, then have that drop. And that's why I'm not aggressively selling this just yet. So just precaution on that. Moving on to Euro USD. So for me, for this one, it's a bit of a tricky one. We saw failure to push higher, and we've also had a retest level here, and seeing signs of failure to push any lower. So we can see I'm looking at this as a range bound market. So what that means is the price could bounce off this side and this side, but my bias is still towards the upside. I think that market needs a bit of a rest after this huge aggressive push to the upside. So we could expect two things: a sideways market movement, so price in between these two levels, or we could get price to descend to the downside, and really take in some selling opportunities. I will be looking for my long-term move towards the upside, so I will be looking for however steep and deep this falls into, I'll be looking to at least push into this current high that we've made here. So roughly at 1.19100. So this level would be the the target to use as a potential risk to reward ratio once we've taken a buy. We'll have to assess the potential risk to reward ratio once price makes it moves to the downside. But for now, I'm just looking at this as a range market, not too heavily involved in this pair, but we'll be sitting on the sidelines and waiting for price to show its cards and see exactly where price is really heading. Okay, so now moving on to USD JPY. I'm seeing this again. We had this huge leg to the upside, and stalling of price. We have a bit of weakness here, but we do have bullish pressure. So for me, I'm still trying to think of this as both buy or sell. Majority of this I'm looking for a sell, so I'm looking to see how price first reacts to this downtrend. We could get a reaction from this, or we could get a reaction from this level of the market here. So we could have two selling points. Now I'm not aggressively selling this. I'm waiting for confirmation just before I take a sell, which is vital for this analysis to play out correctly. And again, if we do get that downside movement, I'll be looking to target into the downside low, the lowest low currently formed, so roughly at 104.137. So within that range, if price does make it this way, obviously this is just an assumption, but this is just under 250 pips, so good level and a good amount of moves to take some profits there. So I will be looking for that. I'm still not looking. I'm also looking, sorry, for upside potential. So again, we'll have to wait for market to give us a bit more of a an idea of where market is likely to head. But for now, what we're looking at the end of the week is I'm looking at this bearish structure here, followed by a pullback, but we'll see how strong this pullback is at the minute. Okay, so that's where my focus is for that pair. So looking at CAD JPY, I'm looking at this in pretty much a sell-off condition. Now this is just an analysis process thought. We can see here that we've had a strong push to the downside, also an equal strong push to the upside. So to me, this is a wick action here. So we could start to see price dip into this level before we get another reaction to either upside or to the downside. And equally, if this doesn't get a deeper correction, or if this doesn't go any lower, we could be looking at, you know, price making a further push to the upside, potentially clearing this level. Now, in terms of, you know, my selling bias for the long term, if we can get price to, you know, not go above this zone, then, you know, my selling idea and my bias will stand. So, you know, if we get in up to, you know, anywhere up in here, but not above this zone here, then, you know, the sells are valid, and I'll be targeting back all the way back down into the level. So it just really depends in the long run how far we can go, and obviously if this prediction does work out. But we'll see exactly how the market is respecting these two levels in the market here. So roughly at 77.7 100 to 80.0, so nice level in the market there. You know, again, range bound, so if you want to trade in between, feel free to do so. You might want to scale down on the time frames just to get your levels for that. So moving on to NZD JPY, I'm seeing a lot of sell pressure here in the market right now. You know, it looks pretty evident here. However, I'm just looking at some selling opportunities as well, but also waiting for, you know, to see if this can push further, or if it will enter an exhaust phase. So, you know, the exhaust phase is it pulling back, and then we could find a new level and push into this one here. So we'll see how far we can go. 68.00 is where I'm looking. Again, make sure you're looking for confirmation first. Again, this is around 200 pip move from this level here, which I've just obviously made up if we do get a pullback. But I could definitely see this starting to push lower, and, you know, sell-off bias is only valid if we don't go above 71.600. So excuse me. So I'm looking at these two levels here. If we go above here, we're looking at a potential buy. But for now, I still think that there is a stronger correction due. At least to test this level one more time, and then we can discuss another long-term move after that. Okay. So moving on to Euro JPY. Looking at this now as the final step, again, I keep saying this with this pair, I've talked upon this. You know, we have the divergence that we're looking at, and we're staying in line with this. I'm not giving up on this pair. I am still keeping an eye out for this. We can see, you know, price is really struggling to push higher here. And, you know, we're coming into accordance to our trend line now. So this is a key area that I'm watching. You know, I never trade, you know, I never worry about missing out a trade, which is obviously a very big key to trading, because it'll only beat yourself up. But your idea of the market, you know, is all about how you get in after, you know, price has made its hand, and it's how you react to the market. So even if you're early or late, it really just depends upon how you exit on the market. Okay, so keep that in perspective. So for now, if price does make its move to the downside, all we do is wait for that pullback, and we take this all the way back down. Okay, so I'll be looking to target this level in the market, roughly at 119.00. So if we get a retest from this level of the market, you know, a good range of 500 pips. Big move here, so we just have to stay patient with this and see if this can continue to push lower, or the other option is it just continues to push higher, and then we'll have to reanalyze our analysis, and of course we'll update everything for you. But for now, you know, I'm seeing that, you know, the divergence has not changed just yet. You know, I'm still sticking to my guns with this. You know, we've got losing momentum on a potential high peak, multiple levels of the market not pushing higher, failure to push above more, and now we could potentially look for a retest if we get break lower, and also we have that trend as well. And also we have an EMA, so a lot to put in there, but they're all the confluences that I go for, and even more that goes on as well. So again, this is all the strategy that I'm learning and teaching you guys. and that's pretty much about it, guys. So looking at AUD JPY, pretty much the same situation here. Looking at a potential sell-off here, waiting for another retest of the market before we head lower, and I'll be looking to target into this range if possible. So 72.800. Again, this is the long way to go down, but again, this is where I'm looking now. An invalid point is if we go above this high of the market, and if we push higher, that's when, you know, we would reconsider our buying option. So yeah, pretty much looking at this and staying focused with the sell, and we'll see exactly how we go. So you can see, you know, an overbought condition here. No divergence just as yet, but you know, we're looking at potential switch over to the downside. So we'll see how price plays out. So coming to the last two pairs now, USD Chef. Now I'm looking at this in both buy and sell opportunities because I'm torn between the two. Now the divergence is telling me, you know, we're having problems push lower. If we can see from this, a double bottom here, nice divergence play. So we can see that the divergence is creeping in, which obviously means that there's less volume and there's less power towards this move to the downside and momentum, really. So what we could be looking for here is that push towards the upside, you know, waiting for a push and closure to the upside here on this level before we get that retest and push higher, or we could potentially find a level in the market within this range here. Again, we just have to wait for time to fast forward and present that level towards us. But pretty much I'm looking at this as a push higher. Now, if price does go lower, we could look at this as a potential sell-off, and I won't be shy to admit that if this does happen, then you know that's that would be another case scenario that we could look into and you know, discuss further. So we'll have to obviously present another video for you to explain our views and, you know, give you an update for that. But pretty much that's all I'm looking at for that. So keep an open mind, both buy or sell here. And finally, for USD CAD, I'm looking at this as a potential upwards move. You know, looking at a potential break to the upside, retest, push higher, break of the downtrend. The other option is we could potentially find resistance from this level. Now, I'm not too sure if this could happen. We may even get a push to the downside to retest this level before we go higher. That's another thing that I'm considering. But if we do clear the downside level of the market, which is at 1.32500, and we fully closed lower, then you know the retest option is available, and that's where you could be looking as well. So you know, keep this all in perspective, and obviously make sure you do your own trading plan, stick to your own rules, don't over risk, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm looking for over the next week for those pairs that I've covered. I do apologize for the delay in the market analysis, full market analysis video. Just got tied up with a few things, and yeah, so I thought I'd give all of my views into one big video rather than just giving you singular videos. Okay, so that's all I wanted to discuss for the analysis. Now, if you are a new trader, like I mentioned at the start, feel free to join that trading group down below. We do also have a premium group that you can join, and that also includes all our in-time trades and a lot more information. So if you want to inquire about that, make sure to contact us through our Telegram or our Instagram, which is at KMTRADERS, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, guys, thank you very much for listening, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, of course, and give this video a like and a subscribe down below. So thank you very much for listening, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.